And perhaps the third one in offering here, because the world champions from last year in this particular discipline were Germany. Ingeborg Althoff and Stephanie Werremeier. We'll see them in a moment, but first the Romanians. A new combination here. Viorica Neculai at stroke. In lane number 2, the United States, again a new partnership. The United States got the silver medal, and this time it's Tracy Rood and Christina Brown trying to go one better for the American team. Lane number 3, Isabelle Danjou and Christine Gosse for France. They were second in Lucerne, ahead of the Germans but behind the Canadians, and here is Ingeborg Althoff sitting in front of Stephanie Werremeier. A little bit of pressure on them here. As I said, they didn't win Lucerne. They were beaten by the Canadians, who've made this final and are in lane number 4. Kathleen Heddle and Marnie McBean. Canada with, again, yet another new partnership. The Canadians finished 4th in the Copseless pair last year. And finally, out in lane number 6, Great Britain.
Ready.
Fiona Freckleton in the bow, Miriam Batten
USA,
at stroke.
ready.
And quite a test
France,
for the British partnership.
Ready. Germany ready. Canada ready. Great Britain ready. Are you ready? Go!
Movement in the middle there as they got off. Certainly from the United States. Germany going off strongly, and France next to them. France probably the quickest away. The British were a very late selection this year. They didn't make the team originally, but they were added to the team while they were out at training camp. They were going to be the spares and in the 8. But they've made the team here, and they'll be aiming to prove that they weren't selected for anything but the best reasons. They're out to try and win a medal. But out in front are the Canadians. The Canadians having a wonderful championship so far. And these two girls will be rowing in the 8 tomorrow as well, as will these two. Miriam Batten, Fiona Freckleton, who were in the 4 last year. They were in the British 4 that came 6th. And moving very well indeed. They've settled into a very strong rhythm. Quite slight compared to most of their competitors, but in these conditions with a nice tailwind behind them, it's just set up for them. But at the moment, they're lying 4th. Out in front, the Canadians, West Germany about a canvas behind. The West German world champion sitting just behind the Canadians, and closest to us, Romania. Romania level with the British. Good send at the finish there from the Romanians. Short of practice, probably disrupted practice this year, no doubt, but they're well in the hunt, and just outside, out of the picture there, were the Americans in last place. The Romanians, long, tall, rangy athletes, good pick-up on the catches, a good leg drive. Big hard finishes there, which are very, very effective in this pair. But the water is quite rough. You can see the water's rolling around a little bit and making it very difficult for this the most sensitive of boats, the pair.
Romanians still with some work to do, because it's the Germans and Canadians who've got the lead at the moment. There you can see there's not much between them after the first quarter, with Great Britain and the French pretty close together with the Americans. But here are the Canadians, and this is Kathleen Heddle and Marnie McBean.
You can see they're having a bit of trouble with the rough water. Stroke just caught her knees there as she was coming forward, but they've got a low rate and a very effective. Rolling around again there a little bit. Difficult water, but fast conditions. Very strong, solid, very determined stroke there. And they're in front, and that's a good place to be as you're coming up to the 1,000-metre mark. 3/4 of a length they've got on the Germans. The Germans just losing their catches a bit. You can see they're moving their backs before the blades are connected, and they're losing pace there, losing pace at the front end of the stroke. Losing pace every stroke now as the Canadians move away. The British in the picture there, the British in 3rd or 4th place. not far off the pace at all. They're there in connection with the Germans. The Canadians have got away. They're the Romanians, looking much less tidy than they usually look. Taking a quick, anxious look across. They do look short of practice.
So coming up to the halfway point, and the Canadians in a useful lead. The Germans will have to make a move if they're to be in contention during the third quarter. And the British, surprisingly at the moment, hanging on really well and perhaps in the hunt for a bronze medal. And if they can pull anything like that off, it will be quite amazing. The Americans, Tracy Rood and Christina Brown in picture now.
They haven't got the power through the water, pulling away from their work a little bit at the finish. You can see them leaning away from their riggers at the finish, and that's not a very effective stroke. So they're losing it, but they are in the final, but they're dropping back, and that ineffective stroke is showing up. Out in front, the Canadians opened up even more now. A length and a half on the Germans. Remember, the Germans, reigning world champions, struggling a bit here to keep in contention. And the French in the thick of the pack, fighting now for that bronze medal. But the bronze medal is between Romania, Great Britain and France. No one's going to touch the Canadians. Could this be the second gold medal for Canada in these Women's World Championships? No one looks likely to catch them now as they come up to the 1500 metre mark. Germany rowing less and less effectively, losing the legs a lot on the catch. And you can see under pressure, under a lot of pressure.
And the defending champions must know that they've got a real chance of losing that title now. They're going to really have to find something themselves and hope that the Canadians fall apart. And quite honestly, that's so unlikely as we come to the closing stages of this race. The last quarter now, and surely, Dan, they're not going to close down that gap.
Well, they won't close that gap, but they're going to have to actually do something to hold off the British. The British girls are coming with a tremendous push now in the last 500. They're really on a roll, and they are moving now half a length behind the Germans. This is a tremendous row from two girls who hardly made the team. I mean, they were only added to the team 10 days ago. They're clear of the French. Well clear there of the Romanians and the Americans. This is a tremendous performance from Fiona Freckleton and Miriam Batten. Wonderful performance, and they are closing on the Germans. This is a very, very, very extraordinary performance from them.
Having said that, the Germans have certainly held that distance with the Canadians, maybe found a little bit as we come to the last 200 metres now.
Nothing's going to stop the Canadian girls now. They are in complete control. Stroke very, very, very sure of herself. They haven't really had to raise their rate. They've just been very long, very effective right the way over this course, and you can see the bubbles there on the finishing line. That's what they're heading for, and it's going to be Canada with West Germany holding off the British, but the British coming fast.
So Canada in lane 5, and interesting to see what the British can do. I don't think they're going to quite catch the Germans, but it's going to be mighty close nonetheless. Canada really, since the 1,000 metre mark, they've never been in any sort of danger. The Germans have found nothing and have looked uncomfortable throughout the whole of the 2,000 metre race, and the British, they couldn't find that little bit extra, but they've done brilliantly well to get a bronze medal, which quite honestly none of us thought was in the offering. Fourth to finish are Romania, and you can see after that there's a big gap back to the Romanians, who finished just beneath us, ahead of the United States.
Well, for Canada, their second gold medal of the championships. They're going to run again in the 8. But for the British girls in third place, that's the first medal at heavyweight level for women ever won by Britain. That's Miriam Batten and Fiona Freckleton.
And what a time also. The Canadians getting inside 7 minutes. Now, the best time in a World Championship, I know it's wrong perhaps to compare it so precisely, but the best time was 7 minutes 12.2, and this Canadian pair have done it in 6 minutes 57.42. You still got to say it's a hell of a time.
It's a remarkable performance, it really is, and it sets the Canadians up for next year's Olympics phenomenally well, doesn't it?
And just to give you an idea, the first 5 crews home are all inside that previous best time. So some race here.
and some conditions too.
Much delight for the Canadian women's squad. What an opening day of finals they're having here on the Danube. Germans are still smiling, but inside they must feel disappointed. Not one of their better performances. Nonetheless, a medal in the World Championships for Stephanie and Ingeborg. And on the far side, a first ever medal for two delighted young British women. Miriam Batten, Fiona Freckleton getting the medal first, and now Miriam Batten.